At Pete's Greens in Craftsbury, wintertime has become almost as busy as harvest time.
Our business is now almost as big this time of year as it is in August, so we're busy. We got lots of people in here washing and packing things. We harvest lots and lots of crops in October, and many of these crops we can store until the next June or so. But it's critical that conditions be just right. Just above freezing, super high humidity, those are the main characteristics for most crops. But if you get too warm or too cold away from that by much, your storage period really drops quickly.
Pete's Greens is one of the largest producers and distributors of organically grown storage crops like carrots, onions, and potatoes in Vermont.
This storage thing has really helped us to make a well-rounded year-round business where we have quality managerial staff that stays year after year and has really taken a lot of the crazy ebbs and flows out of vegetable farming in a climate like this. You know, we have 3-4 months of good growing around here, and the sort of the typical vegetable farm in the past was just ramping up like crazy, selling a bunch of stuff, ramping down super fast, and then everybody disappears. And it's really hard to build a business and build an economy like that. So this has been a really key part of us really having a better business.
For these vegetables to stay fresh for over 6 months, the temperature and humidity have to remain constant. Half a degree too high or too low means at least a week less of storage time. And any significant temperature changes mean disaster.
We once froze 40,000 pounds of potatoes here. It was a huge loss. It was very sad, and we just didn't have a proper system to monitor it in place.
In Vermont, Pete's Greens may be a major player in the marketplace when it comes to selling storage crops. But outside the Northeast, storage facilities can be several acres in size, making Pete's facility minuscule by comparison. So installing a proper monitoring system is much easier said than done.
This is the kind of stuff where you go online, you check out what, big storage facilities, they have a certain kind of monitoring system, blah, 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 and you contact that company, and you're just not speaking the same language. It's a very different, they're dealing with, acres of storages where people are spending maybe $250,000 to set up the proper monitoring and all this kind of stuff. And it's very different to be able to call up somebody and say, hey, I want the second smallest model of what you have because it's perfect for me. And to call up somebody and say, hey, I need something 10 times smaller than what you have, and that'll be perfect for me. And they're going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know 10 times smaller.
So what these are little thermistors. They come from the medical industry. They're using catheters.
To find a right-sized monitoring system for his business, Johnson contacted Chris Callahan, an agricultural engineer with the University of Vermont Extension. Callahan's solution was to do what engineers do best.
We needed to build this simply because it didn't exist at a price point that made sense for our growers and frankly any small to medium-sized grower throughout the country and the world.
Employees at Pete's Greens would have to manually measure humidity using a sling psychrometer.
As we're slinging this through the air, the wick on the wet bulb of the thermometer is evaporating moisture into the air.
What Callahan designed houses one thermometer to gauge humidity and another to tell temperature.
One of the things that I found as a result of this project is the world of temperature and humidity measurement is really tailored to industrial and commercial processes or buildings. There isn't a whole lot out there that is cost effective and durable or reliable for agriculture, particularly agriculture at the scale and diversity that we see in Vermont. So part of the challenge has been finding cost effective, reliable solutions for these types of environments.
Each thermometer connects to a microprocessor that transmits information over the internet. Johnson and his staff can then monitor temperature and humidity readings from anywhere using either a computer or a web-enabled device like a smartphone.
It's a continual process of identifying a need, having a conversation about what might work, giving it a shot with the understanding that it's an on-farm research project, and learning along the way, constant communication, what's working, what isn't.
Pete's Greens is one of 9 sites in Vermont where Callahan is installing these devices. The total cost per unit is about $200.
It's roughly the same cost of an agricultural thermostat, a good quality, accurate agricultural thermostat used in greenhouses and coolers currently. The processor does that calculation.
Johnson appreciates Callahan's assistance, and even more for someone who understands the needs of small, diversified vegetable farmers.
The UVM extension is super available. They come around, they see us, they stop in. You know, I can't say enough. They speak our language. They know you don't have to spend time trying to explain to them what you're trying to do. They get it, and then they go right to work figuring out how to make it happen. It's been indispensable, and it's helped create a new ag landscape in this state that really would have struggled to get going without having that backbone.
The storage facility at Pete's Greens stores more than carrots and potatoes. It's also a warehouse for knowledge that helps farmers monitor their needs as their businesses continue to grow. In Craftsbury, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.